every Sunday. Side by side at the microphone, from the green light to the speed trap, Chris Switzer and Ray Carino calls them as they sees them, and you better believe them. Here! Relevant news, biased opinions, and outright bullshit regarding every aspect of automotive culture. Gas, mechanical trickery never before revealed over FCC-regulated airwaves. Thrill to the explosive tension as Chris and Ray cuss each other down the track and barrel roll across the finish line, laughing at certain disaster as they shake hands for the devil. All that and much more this Sunday at high noon on the Motormouth Radio Hour. Call in and speak live with the Wizards of Speed and live feed, Chris Switzer and Ray Carino. Bring the whole family. Kids under 12 get in free. Every Sunday at noon on WHPC. Take the Long Island Expressway to the Meadowbrook Parkway and look for the sign saying no parking on the expressway and no express service on the parkway. Go right on Highway 24 to Garden City. $2 all-day parking includes pit pass. Sunday!
Four men on a search. Each man different, living his own way, searching, discovering numero uno, the new thing in colognes for men. In all the world, there are only four basic masculine scents. Here's the best of each. Numero uno gold, numero uno green, numero uno red, numero uno silver.
And you also found numero siete and seis, which is the sense of Ray and Chris. Those are the bottles that are still on the shelf. So far, nobody bought them. They're buying uno through cuatro. And we've just been saying, you know what? We can't get a damn a cent out of this promotion. I don't know why. Chris, I don't know what it was.
I have to take that bottle of high karate off the shelf and put it on numero no.
Numero uno, right. So you've tuned into numero uno for your car concerns this week. Motormouth Radio with your hosts, Ray Guarino, Chris Switzer. We're here to help you with your car issues and stuff. We'll tell you what we've been doing. You can call us at 516-572-7440. I know you call us a lot of other things also.
Yes. And remember, if you're driving, we're to the left of your glove compartment. So just...
Exactly where we are. And you can text us if you'd rather.
That's right. If you got thumbs and you know how to use them, the number is, I still can't remember it. It's 203-670-4127. I'm glad I write it in strategic places around here in my studio. So everywhere I look, I can see the number. Call us 203-670. Text us 203-670-4127. So,
and of course, follow us on social media, Motormouth Radio on Facebook, and on X, it's real_Motormouth Radio on Instagram, and of course on YouTube, it's real_Motormouth Videos.
Right. Don't accept any substitutes. No,
not the fakes. Take the real stuff. So
the real fake.
Let's see. I did have a oh, here we go. Yeah, I got a list here that I was.
You do. Oh, another Ray. You have a list of your lists that I know.
Oh boy. And every once in a while I go through the lists and I crumble them up and I throw them out because I have new lists to take their places. And I'm a paper scrap guy. I have scraps of paper pretty much everywhere.
That's right. You're a paper pooper. Yes.
Yeah. So I want to follow up on a story that I talked about the last 2 weeks.
Story follow up. Woo, woo, woo. Got it.
Because after the show last week, I went and put some finish on it, and that was that Roadrunner that I talked to you about.
Oh, right. The one that I'm looking at right now on real_Motormouth Radio on Instagram. Yes. 69. I have a question about this vehicle, but please continue.
Okay. Well, the bottom line was the fix was so much easier than the owner had ever predicted or thought it might have been, and he went through great lengths.
What was the problem again? I'm sorry.
Car started and ran fine. It drove great through the gears at slow speeds, like how you would drive it.
Mm-hmm.
But if I were to get in it,
right,
once he got over like 2,500 RPM, which is where that car starts to breathe, it would pop. It would just have this popping. And like backfiring and popping, like, wow. So, and they went through all sorts of a lot of stuff to figure it out. It ended up being a combination of, I do believe, a bad ballast resistor and the wrong spark plugs. I also did change the what they call the ECU box on the firewall, which is just the transistor ignition stuff. He just wanted to do it, so I said, okay, we'll do that. And the plugs were, the reason is because the guy that built his engine is kind of like a race engine builder, and he built them with plugs that had cut back ground straps. And that's something you did back in the 60s and 70s on race cars. And granted, it's a tough engine. It's no, it's no mild.
Oh yeah.
But it was uncalled for, and the car definitely. Now let me tell you something else. It took 3 of us to get all the plugs into that 383 with the headers. We had to keep tag teaming to get.
Oh, let me tell you, I am very familiar with the plight of removing and replacing spark plugs in a big block Chrysler. Yes.
I'll go with the stocker. This one with the headers was what the problem was. And that's usually where your problem comes in with almost any car, except the Pontiac. Because
you need fingertips.
One of the plugs is like right under the tube, and you can't see it. I mean, hard enough getting it out, let alone getting it. So yeah, it took 3 of us.
I'm sure
older people to get those plugs in, but we did.
Crawling on top of the engine with the carburetor stabbing you in the chest. Yes.
And I just went with regular RJ12YCs, right what the book called for. Got them at 035. The car started, and you can see it ran a little better. It was just a little, to me, I picked up a little bit of smoothness, and then we drove it. And again, it was very smooth in first and second. And then he turned the corner and he goes, first gear again. And then he hit the gas, not like a maniac, but enough where he brought that RPM up and pulled second fast. He turned and smiled at me. Smile I've ever seen in my life. And he says, "This is how this car is supposed to feel." And I said, "You got 2 more gears, buddy. Don't let me stop you. Do it again. I'm all on. I'm all in." So that car is fixed.
Good.
And I'm very glad for him that it's
my question here, and I have a feeling this is going to be a theme of this program. And we get themes as we go along. That's the joy of this program. This is no production here. Why am I looking at manual brakes? I'm looking at the engine compartment of the car in this picture. Very nice picture of the engine compartment. Very clean, very well laid out. Whomever owns this vehicle pays attention to detail. But I'm looking at manual brakes. There's no power booster.
No, I'm pretty sure that car. Well, I think that car was ordered for power, not for creature comforts. I'm pretty sure it still has its 4-wheel drums.
Yeah, it's got to. I mean, well, yes, it does. Actually, no, it does, because I've seen manual disc. That's why
I have them on my car.
You have manual disc on yours, right?
I have disc drum, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm just like, why? If I was putting something together now, like my own car, which still has manual brakes, I mean, believe me, I am still casually looking. I'm not looking feverishly, but if I can find a 73 Chrysler disc brake setup that's already packaged and ready to go, I'm buying it.
Well, I'll tell you this, that car is the way it is because he bought it at an auction, and that's the way that car was built. It's what do you call it? Window sticker correct,
Right.
So he didn't change.
I'm just amazed at seeing manual brakes. And before, I never really paid much mind to it up until the point where I now own a car with manual brakes. Mind you, I was very fortunate growing up. The cars I drove were all power brake vehicles. I must admit, it's been a common thread throughout my automotive career. Power brakes. There's always been a power booster there. So when I got the Chrysler, I'm going, where's power booster?
Well, I'll tell you this, like you said, we kind of grew up with that. My early cars were manual brake cars. I had some manual brake cars in the early days, but I know this, and we'd have to get somebody older than us to verify this. I know that when disc brakes were starting to be offered in the 60s, people stayed away from them. We don't want European damn brakes. I want my drum brakes. And they tried selling them for safety and for going through water. They wouldn't hydrolock themselves like drums do.
Right.
And all the benefits of disc brakes. And many people would not bite They just said, no, I ain't doing it. So there might have been those people who did the same thing with power brakes, figured, I don't know what that thing is or what it's going to do or how it's going to fail. So I want my regular hard brake feel.
Right.
And it may have been that way where power brakes were kind of stayed away from, maybe not as much as the disc, but because then when disc came out, it again, it's within reason. It kind of became mandatory power disc brakes. I mean, you also did have power drum. My Pontiac had power 4-wheel drum brakes in '65.
Right. Yeah.
But
A lot of my GM vehicles had power drums, and they were fine.
But there were, when I did my car, I did research and found out there were manual disc drum cars. You could get a second gen Camaro with manual disc drum brakes. Joe D,
Really?
he had one that was like that. I didn't know that. I never saw one, but then I see now that I'm seeing older cars come back again, I'm like, yeah, a lot of them did have manual disc drum. So who knows? It was a thing, but I think power became prevalent because it was a lot nicer and easier. And again, people like that power feel.
Oh yeah.
But I remember back in the day, as well as today, you could almost blindfold me and put me in a car and just have me stop, and I could tell you what kind of car it is.
Where, in the trunk or?
No, well, in the driver's seat, either by the
Oh.
brake feel or by the steering. There was like
Tough
some
to
cars.
blindfold you and have you drive.
I know. Well, look, with the danger drive I did the other day, I might as well have been blindfolded. They would have added to just a little excitement to it.
But yeah, it's one of those things. I just, looking at it now, I mean, of course I do everything, bass backwards. So when I have a whole career of power brakes, and now the most recent classic car I have now is manual brakes, and now going through the experience of driving a 2-ton vehicle with what would you say, foot strong braking.
Right, Armstrong.
Right.
Yeah, well,
and constant adjustment. Don't get me wrong. I have become like the manual brake guru. It's like I step on the brake, I'm like, oh wait, I gotta readjust that one in the rear. I can feel it. The pedal went down like an extra quarter of an inch. Wait, I gotta go readjust. Get the spoon, get the car in the air, start clicking away, because you gotta get those things perfect.
I'll tell you, drive a Model A with mechanical with the rods.
With the
Now
rod.
those, Gary showed me, they all have to be exactly dead on, or else you get
Yeah.
pull. So man, that
Because
was really, and guys,
that-
it was part of a service.
That was the safety of steel from pedal to wheel.
Right.
That's how Ford advertised it way back when we were all kids.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Now
it's-
all right. You want
I'm
to
just thinking of a car that is built for speed. I mean, I'm looking at it. It's got a 3-speed wiper. The car's built for speed. It's got manual brakes. I'm at that point where I'm just going, why? I mean, if you're gonna do a mod to it, do a safety mod to it first.
But I will say this, and at least Chrysler. This is one of the things I admired about Chrysler. Used bigger drums and wider shoes.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Good drum brakes.
Yes, though they are.
Now on the Pontiac, the GTOs, they were all about putting a big engine in a small car, speed, and they were using
9.5-inch brakes
by 1.5 brakes. I used to deal with a brake manufacturer at one of the jobs I had. He was a customer of ours, and I used to have them custom make me brake linings to get better stopping. And yeah, it would get better, but they would still fade if I was going fast enough. So those cars, GM was really out to lunch. They were saving money and putting it all into like the speed part and not thinking about safety really at all.
It's funny because I would watch Steve Magnante when he would do his Junkyard Crawl. I would watch the YouTube versions, which were the smaller ones, like the 7-10 minute segments. And he would talk about that incessantly, how GM, like you say, used to cheap out.
Right.
And just show the drums and show like these big Oldsmobiles with these little silly drums on them, like the cheap Oldsmobiles, like the Jet Stars and those things back in the early 60s, like a step under a Delta 88 would be.
Those cars weren't as bad because they usually weren't driven in a high performance manner.
Right.
Maybe the a mom or a dad, but the A bodies that they were selling for speed to the younger guys that were going to go out and drive them fast. Those were the cars that needed a better brake and didn't get it. So now we flip the page in the shop and we go look over at the Mustang that I'm working on.
Oh, yes.
So we were talking.
Leading right into this story.
It's perfect segue. That car
Yes.
now has a brake conversion kit, which is a four-wheel disc brake kit, and
Mhm.
there's single piston calipers with
Okay.
mechanical actuators for the parking brake, and they
Right.
supplied it with a 9-inch booster and a master cylinder.
Got
And
it.
as I described last week, the rod in the booster was so short it was 7/8 inch of away from even touching the piston in the master. So there's no way it could have ever worked.
Right.
And
To
they
stop a vehicle.
and you know it's a well-known company who sold this kit.
Mhm.
So somebody didn't check to find. Now there is a possibility, and I don't know if it's true or not. Maybe they supplied a couple of extra rods in the kit, and the fellow who owns the car and brought it to us, maybe it's sitting on his workbench somewhere, and he didn't know what it was, didn't see it.
Right.
It's possible, but I think I asked
Right.
him. He says, no, I didn't see it.
It's possible that the assorted pair of hands that this thing passed through, someone dropped the ball. Got it.
What I'm trying to do now is determine, and I was learning this by Matt Gomez Bryan on Thursday in Playing in Traffic. Most, and not all, but most four-wheel disc brakes cars that I've seen use a dual. They always use a dual chamber master, but the
Right.
chambers are of equal size.
Right.
So whereas the
Correct.
disc drum master, there's a larger chamber for the discs because you need a larger volume of fluid, smaller chamber for the drums because the wheel cylinders don't need as much.
Correct. Yes.
So this car came with a cylinder like that, a large and a small, and the large one is for the front brakes and the small is for the rear. And I'm
Right.
not getting the brake pedal. I have pressure on the pedal, but it'll travel like all the way to the floor pretty much.
My question to you is is this system like a disc front drum rear where the pedal height is determined by the rear drums, in this case being disc all around, is the pedal height determined by the rear disc?
Well, no, it's that's the thing, and this is what I told the owner. I said, typically four-wheel disc brake cars always have a lower brake pedal.
Yeah, they do.
Disc drum car, always.
Yeah, you're right. They do.
But this is ridiculous. This is not drivable.
Mhm.
And what I did is I called the company. Again, it's probably the top company for Mustang aftermarket parts. You know what? I usually don't care about saying the name on here. This time I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to say it.
Why?
I don't know, cause I don't know. I'm just I don't know. I just gotta. Something's telling me not to for some reason.
Okay. All right. Hey, go with your gut on this one.
Well, I'm not gonna. But let's say if you would ask five guys, hey, who would you go get Mustang parts from? This will be one of the top three answers probably, and
Okay.
maybe number one all the time. So
Yeah,
anyway,
you don't have to say it.
I called them and I talked to a guy and I said I'd like to speak with someone who's on a tech line or who deals with tech issues. He
Right.
says, well, we really don't have a tech line and we don't have guys specific. We got a lot of guys here that answer phones and they all know different things. And I said, well, can you find me somebody who deals with the disc brake conversions for the 66 Mustangs
Right.
and transfer me to him, please? Well, I don't really know. He says, you know what you got to do? He says, if you go on our website and you type your question into our chat box, he says, all of us guys are required every day to read those inputs.
Okay.
And usually the guy who knows the most about that question will answer it. He goes, so you pretty much get the best guy, all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, but can you answer a few questions for me first? And then I asked him about this particular kit. I had the paperwork in front of me. Can you verify what master should come with it? No. Why not?
No.
You sold
No.
it,
Yes.
because
No.
I think we got the wrong one. And I asked him a couple pointed questions that he couldn't answer. And I finally said, fine, I'll try the chatbot. Maybe it's smarter than you. So,
Okay.
Chris,
Ray.
I went to the chatbot and
Okay.
I typed in the most succinctly, specifically worded, without any flair, flavor, or BS,
Right.
the most succinct question I could about the problem I'm having.
You didn't tell him that you took the car to dance class. You didn't
Right.
tell him you took the car to ShopRite. You got right to the point.
And I got a reply right away.
Oh.
I'm sorry, we do not understand your question the way you wrote it. Please try using less words.
Less words. Yes. Car, no stop.
So right away, where did my blood pressure go?
Oh,
What would I have done if this chatbot was in front of me? So I said, okay. I deleted my thing and I said, brake pedal goes to floor. Enter.
Got it.
We're sorry. We do not understand your question. Could you please try using less words?
Oh,
I'm like, all right. Take
come
pedal. Brake goes to floor. Pedal goes to floor.
Right.
Floor. Your mother goes to the floor. Your grandmother goes to the floor. I said, they're all on the floor, damn it. I said, you know what? And I'll stop there.
Yes, because I hope this is still a family program.
And I closed that website. I said, that's it. I'm done with this freaking chatbot. And if I ever see this bot on the street, I'm gonna kick its ASCII characters all over. Oh my God! Just give me a human being, please.
Wow.
I said,
Failure on both ends. Huh?
I have to rely on my own set of people and all. So the car owner is looking into maybe getting a different master with a dual chamber. I just told you this before we got on the air. Maco Man Brian, and Brian, if you're listening, the answer didn't work out. Brian recommended a very good choice. He said, get a Granada, a 4-wheel disc brake Granada master.
Right.
And I know that in the 80s and 90s, a lot of guys were doing, before the Fox bodies, they were doing disc brake conversions on earlier Mustangs with the Granada parts.
Yeah.
Why? Because you can go to a junkyard and you get the spindle, you get all the brackets, the calipers, everything.
Exactly.
And you can get the calipers and master from an auto parts store. I
Took the thought right out of my head. Yes.
So that's what I told the car owner. I said, perfect. And as I'm talking to him, I'm on my computer now looking it up. And it's a dual chamber of equal volume. Perfect. The lines are on the right side. Everything is looking good, except the master that he has on this 9-inch booster has a 3 and 9 o'clock mounting holes. They're across each other. Right. The Granada is like 11 and 5. It's off on an angle.
Well, that means you need
can't
the power
put the
booster.
master on.
Right, you put it on its side.
You can't.
No, you need the power booster to go along with it.
Exactly. And that's what he said. Well, should I get a booster to go with it? And I said, well, don't do anything yet. Let's just see what's available before we, I don't want to spend his money.
It's so funny. You're the only person the only, what would you say, is technician, service guy that tells the client, don't spend money yet.
I've said it to him quite a lot. Well, I don't mind, I don't mind if he's going to spend money. I hate the fact that he has to spend more money on after he bought a full kit that was supposed to be all inclusive. I don't like that.
No, and the funny thing is, it's a shame that that I guess a span of time has lapsed, because after that exchange you got, the technical exchange that you received from this company, that stuff in my eyes would get pulled off the car, boxed back up, and sent back to them saying, you guys are not very cooperative, and I'm voting with my feet, and I'm canceling my subscription, and just, I would probably, I mean, I don't know if it's too late to do that, but that's something I would certainly, I'd be a jerk about it.
Now I've had fluid in the system. I mean, it's a nice kit. The rest of the parts are very nice.
Well, it just doesn't work. How nice can it be?
Well, we're having a problem with the bed. So that's where we're at with that. And we're going to see where we, I need those notes.
Ray is going back to the trash can. Oh, he's on all fours. Can he get up?
Jeez, what a jerk. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm back. So yeah, we'll see where that lines up this week. So the last couple of days, I didn't go down to the shop. There's really nothing to do now because the heads for the Oldsmobile are being rebuilt in the machine shop. The Mustang is right now on hold, not being able to be driven, so I have to wait on that. So this is where we fall into that, that lull of waiting for parts and.
So you took this Mustang out for a danger drive. How did that go?
Well, let me tell you.
Ooh, tell me.
The car owner wanted to see, yes, if the car was moving, and Mike was very...
was there any bodily function out of control?
So Mike says to me, we got to take this car out. How about we take it for a drive around the block? And I was like, how about you get bent? I said, well, let's see what our option. I said that respectfully.
I was going to say.
I said, let's see what our options are here.
What guts the brains?
The car starts and runs fine. That's
right.
It steers. The front end is good enough to go semi straight. I said the brake pedal kind of goes to the floor.
Yeah.
Which is bad, but I've driven cars like that before. The brake lights aren't working. And there's no license plate or stickers on the car. I said, okay, let's go.
I'm glad to be a part of this plan.
Let's go.
What can go wrong?
Stop and get iced coffees first. So took it around the block very gingerly, very slowly, because
I'm
you know
sure.
it was a danger drive, and
No, that's a kamikaze mission.
I think that yeah, you're right. You're right. The point was really more to have the owner see the car now did actually go out on the street under its own power, albeit not safely.
Right.
Those like
We don't recommend this, kids.
I got to tell you quickly, those brake lights were another story. The I had the proportioning valve that he put in has an electrical switch that will now at low pressure it'll turn on the brake light. Okay.
All right. Sure.
So, but there's like a cap with a connector in it with wires that you need to plug onto that switch so you can wire it into the car. I didn't have that.
Oh.
So I'm like, okay. They gave me a test for the switch in the material, the written material, which I did test, and I said the switch is good. So I said, okay, you know what? Let me go under the dash in this rat's nest of wire. Let me find the original plug that has the two wires on an angle that plug into the mechanical brake light switch.
Right.
So I found it. And Mike was sitting behind the car. And I said, okay, I took a jumper wire with 2 spades. I plugged it in and I said, do I have brake lights? He goes, no, nothing. I'm like, all right. So now here's the diagnostic path.
Got it.
Okay, why don't I have brake lights? So I go to the back of the car and took a test light, grounded it, took the plug off the back of the light housing and put the test light into it, and the test light lit up. I'm like,
You
okay,
got current.
this housing is getting voltage. What's
getting
the other
feed.
side? Same thing. So I said, okay, so
Wires are
now
good.
why don't I have brake lights? So I said, well, let's go to the next step. I sat on a stool, I took my Phillips head screwdriver, and I removed the 2 wood screws, the 1 interior screw, and grandmother's rocking chair screw from the light bezel.
Factory pieces, I'm sure. All of them.
Pulled that off. Boom, I'm looking at an empty socket. An empty corroded socket. So I clean it with my socket tools and take a new bulb.
Can I see the socket tool cleaning motion again? Ooh.
Put a bulb in, the bulb lit up. We got brake light here. Go to the other side, took out the couple of wood screws, interior screw, and
the Home Depot's hardware screw.
And same thing, no bulb. So okay, now we have brake lights.
Oh, nice.
But now I have to make them actuate when I push the brake pedal, right?
Of course.
So I don't have the plug for the pneumatic switch. So I said, you know what? In my box of parts that I've assembled over the years of working in the shop,
Your box of debris.
It's been 7 years, by the way, that I've been over there.
Holy smokes. Wow.
I have the brake light switch, the mechanical one, out of Mike's Mustang, the 69 or 70. I always forget what year that car is. So I said, you know what? Just for suspenders, let's go suspenders and belt. Anyway, I'm going to put the mechanical switch on the pedal, and I know I can plug it right in.
Which I would think would be the most obvious thing to do.
Well, I could use the other one too. I could wire them both in, suspenders and belt. The problem is that switch, believe it or not, I thought they were all the same. The hole was too small to go over the clevis pin. It wouldn't go over.
Crying out loud.
So I could not wire the switch. So Mike said, how about a toggle on the dash? I said, yeah, big red button, bang, brake light. It's like a race car, you like when you want to fake out your opponent, you throw your brake lights on. So I could not wire the brake lights yet either. So that's another thing that's next in the queue, if you will.
Got it.
So
got it. That's hysterical.
Which my third topic that I scratched out here was about working on a car with non-stock parts and sketchy documentation.
Yeah, I mean that's to me the most annoying thing possible. I mean, to me, it's just when you have no reference. It's like, why don't you just buy a Swedish car? I mean, they have no reference material either.
Well, we got reference here. We got a caller, so they say, "Hi, caller, you're on with the Motor Mouths."
We have a Swedish car.
Swedish it is. What do you got?
Saab.
Oh, you do have a Saab, huh?
I do have a Saab. Is this
we have. We've had 3 Saabs.
So that means good. Now you have some Saab stories.
So this is Robert.
You know Robert. What? It's Good afternoon, gentlemen. Bob from Aqua Center.
Yes.
Bob, how are you?
I'm gonna do one more time.
We have 9-feet convertible.
Oh boy.
Another convertible, and we still have the Aero wagon.
Okay.
Wow. You're full of subs.
I mean,
Let me
Chris,
tell you
you were a breath away from owning one yourself.
I had one, yeah. I leased one for a couple of years, a 9.3 convertible. I loved it, but I gave it back after 3 years.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate we haven't had that many issues other than I told you, I guess, about a year ago, the last inspection, I needed a front cradle and found one.
Wow.
Found one up in the New York Canadian border. And the guy, I looked everywhere. Saab, my guy said, Saab couldn't even get it for me.
Wow.
I looked on the website, and he had one, and he mailed it to my dealer. He set it down on freight, $850 complete.
Okay, great.
Wow.
And had the guys put it in. So other than that, it's still on the road.
Was that cradle rusted, Bob? Is that why you changed it?
Yeah, it's funny too because it had maybe a egg size rod in it.
Right.
Not huge. I said, well, just let's patch it up. And they said, we can't do it.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, get me a cradle from Pennsylvania. And they said, they don't have any more because they only have to hold parts for 10, 11 years.
Right.
Okay.
You
And,
need some out of a junkyard, yeah.
Right.
Came out perfect. Came out completely refurbished. Came back. I had the guys from the dealer double undercoat it. It was already undercoated. I had them double undercoat it.
Wow.
And it worked out great. And we're still tooling around on it. And it's those 3 cars have been great.
Excellent. That's good to know.
Wow, that is good to know. Son of a gun.
I was up in Vermont this weekend, and there's still plenty of Saabs running around.
Oh, I'm sure up there. Yeah.
I actually have a good friend of mine that's up around the Catskills. He's got a couple of them as well, and I always laugh at him, and he always tries to hit me with something. I'm always like, still got those things? Why? But yeah, it's good to get the news about them.
My question too was, as I listened to part of it this morning, I got a shower. Was what about what brakes did we use on the 66 350 and also on the regular 66 GT? They had manual brakes then too? There was no power brake then?
Which car are we talking about, Bob?
Yeah.
You're talking about the 66 Mustang, right? Isn't that that you're talking about?
Yes, the one I'm working on now is a six. Now that car had a 4-wheel drum system. I didn't see it prior. I mean, this is the first way I saw it was after the conversion was done. So I know it was a 4-wheel drum, and it could have been manual or power. I don't know.
Oh,
They came both ways.
Yeah, I was thinking because you said you were looking for what the Hydro Boost or for the power disc. Wasn't the GT350s? Didn't they have power brake then or no?
Well, they probably did have power brakes.
Sure.
Yeah. Now, yeah, we're not talking about Hydro Boost. We were just talking about what I was talking about is the kit that the fellow bought gave him all the adapters to put 4 calipers on and disc brakes,
Right.
and it was a booster and a master. But I'm having a problem with the hydraulic end of it. I'm not getting the right actuation with the hydraulics, so I'm trying to figure that where to go from there now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think you would think that that the line would still consider running the same pressure, right, from the unit to the actual caliper, right?
I'll tell you how it works. The bore of the master cylinder determines that. So a smaller cylinder bore creates more pressure per inch of travel, where a larger bore provides more volume.
Mm-hmm.
And in a disc brake, 4-wheel disc brake, you need more volume because the calipers hold more fluid.
Right.
Got it.
There's a whole science behind it. And Willwood has tables on their website. You need to know the how many cc's of fluid the calipers hold. But you can, if you know that information, you can dial in your system by just looking down the chart on Willwood's site. It's amazing. Those engineers figured it all out right to the bottom line. But
Right. And the frustrating thing is that Ray is doing this, in my eyes, with parts that are completely off the shelf and have absolutely no association with one another, at least very little association. And that you have to resort to doing something like this with something that's so serious as stopping a vehicle.
Even people like this, like these calipers, they look like factory single pot calipers, and they probably were. I'll give you one more. The Willwood calipers I have on my car, on the Chevelles, they had a single piston caliper. Now I have dual piston, but it's made to fit right into the factory bracket. So a lot of those companies, they're not reinventing the wheel. They're
Right.
just tweaking it a little. So,
Got it. Okay.
so that's where we're at.
Well, no, that was interesting. I enjoyed the conversation.
Excellent. We did too, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Have a great weekend.
All right. Talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Talk to you soon. Be safe.
All right. That brings us to the bottom of the hour.
Yes.
So I should ask, Chris,
What?
are you a
What,
proud
Ray?
member of the Nassau Community College alumni? I am.
You are. I'm
I
not.
am. Find out more information about the Nassau Community College Alumni Association. And for
How?
more information, please visit ncc.edu/alumni to do so.
And you don't have to be nice about it. You can tell them do it now.
Yeah, and while you're doing that, check the weather because our WHPC weather
Yes.
or yours as it may be, is powered by Pantano's Gourmet with locations in Hewlett and Uniondale. And today, oh boy, cloudy, rainy. We had some hellacious rain this morning. High in the high 70s, but it's kind of gloppy, grimy, mouchard. It's like a little, it's thick out there, It's
Ladies
like,
and gentlemen, the weather report from Reverend Guido Sarducci.
yeah, you want to go into your house. You want to stay in out of the rain. You want to stay where it's a nice and not a mouchard. You want to
Stay away from the mufada.
stay in the air conditioning, nice and cool. And say a prayer. That's what you want to do. So tonight, thunderstorms as likely as this evening. Then a chance of scattered thunderstorms overnight. Low 72. Tomorrow's supposed to be cloudy, and it's not. Let's put it this way, Cliff. Even though you don't have the dune buggy, it's not a top-down day. It's not a convertible day. Convertible home. I took the FJ today, just in case I had to go through a flood. So, do we have an honor group of the hour to round out this segment?
Yes, we do. And also, when we get back from the break, I want to talk about just doing a minor modification and making a major result on the Chrysler. But first, the Motor Mouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour, because that's what we like to do here. We like to honor some groups of automotive people and just hold them in high regard, put them on a pedestal, because a lot of times they ain't there. So we like to do that. We like to prop them up every once in a while. And this week, if you've ever gotten a rusted, rounded nut stuck in a socket,
Oh boy.
have you ever wrestled an old corroded nut off a rusty threaded bolt just to get the nut jammed in your high quality socket?
Yeah.
It's bad enough the nut fought you at every turn. Now you have another job you don't want. So you can try spraying some WD-40 in the socket and tap the nut out with a screwdriver, but how far do you think that'll get you? Probably not. You could just screw another bolt into it. You got to go digging for that in your junk drawer and try and pull it out using the bolt as a handle. That's a definite maybe. Then out of sheer frustration, you pick up the socket over your head and slam the whole thing directly down the concrete floor, hoping that the nut will pop out. Something you would never do with your good socket with nothing wedged in it. So finally, you do the thing you never think you have to do. You have to screw the socket nut combo back onto the rusty thread bolt just to take advantage of the old worn out rusty threads to snap the socket off the rusty nut. So if part of your day is ruined because of a nut that wouldn't budge from your rusty threaded bolt, threaded socket or bolt or whatever, and it wouldn't budge from the socket, I got to proofread. Then you're part of the Motor Mouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour.
You should have somebody to read it for you. It's your daughter. All right. With that, we'll take a break. We'll be back in a little bit. Christian, call back in a minute. We got to take care of business on 90.3 WHPC. Let's go to a barbecue.
See you later, I'm running late, and I'll see you wanna find a date. And now some wine and pills, everybody's going to the barbecue to fill. Barbecue to fill, party all night long.
This is Dennis Pitzenberger from Sticker Shock, and if you're not listening to Motor Mouth Radio, boy, you are lost in the smoke of the burnout. Make sure and tune in each and every week because these guys are exactly what you want to hear. Real car guys, real talk, every single weekend.
This show on 90.3 WHPC is brought to you by CarStar Celebrity Chase Collision, with 2 locations in Limerick and Oceanside, who remind you that New York state law says you always have the right to choose which shop will fix your car. CarStar Celebrity Chase Collision offers a full range of services: 24-hour towing between Montauk and Manhattan, shuttle service, and they can help you with a rental car arrangement if needed. All repairs include the CarStar lifetime nationwide warranty, ensuring that the experts at Celebrity Chase Collision are always on your side.
Y sí, hablamos español.
More information is available at 516-593-0920 or online at celebritychasecollision.com.
You're listening to the Motor Mouth.
I'm banging my head against the cylinder head right now.
You're an avid Motor Mouth listener, correct?
That's it. I want to talk to the Motor Mouth guys.
Motor Mouth!
It's a little hard to understand you. I don't know if there's a bad connection on your end. I know there are plenty of the callers banging at your door because you're such a popular radio program.
I love listening to you guys.
It's amazing that it took you about 8 seconds to go to the lowest common denominator.
Motor Mouth!
Hey, guys, you do a great job. I have to say that right off the bat. One of my favorite shows. And I figure
Motor Mouth guys.
Motor Mouth!
It's a little hard to understand you. I don't know if there's a bad connection on your end. I know there are plenty of the callers banging at your door because you're such a popular radio program.
I love listening to you guys.
It's amazing that it took you about 8 seconds to go to the lowest common denominator.
Motor Mouth!
Hey, guys, you do a great job. I have to say that right off the bat. One of my favorite shows. And I figure let me bother you since no one else does.
Motor Mouth!
I was just listening to you guys and you're scaring me.
Hi, Chris and Ray.
Let's be serious now.
Our trained staff of 2 will help.
Oh, I'm having a great time listening to this today.
I got a phone call saying, hey, I'd love to have Ray and Chris come over and do a tune-up on my car.
Quite frankly, there are better things to do with your time.
Another caller you don't hear much from.
No, what I did is I put on my Motor Mouth radio T-shirt.
Yeah, I want to know what the is wrong with my car.
Someone should find a way to highlight your technical prowess. I haven't seen it in 3 years.
That's okay because you guys are regular guys.
I'm sorry, I just lowered the radio. What was that you said?
Motor Mouth!
Yeah, how you doing, Ray, Chris?
I listen to you guys all the time. I call you every once in a while.
You know, I found out that drinking heavily makes your show sound better.
Are there going to be headliners there at the show?
Yes, we do. We try to bring a personality in every year, and this year we have 2 personalities.
I know it's not us.
There are answers, sometimes correct ones, and we may have them.
Motor Mouth Radio, 90.3 FM, WHPC.
Motor Mouth!
Hey, you, get over here. Every Sunday, 12 to 1, you are going to tune in to hear the Motor Mouths, my friends Ray Guarino and Chris Switzer. 90.3 FM, WHPC. You might learn something.
Yeah. If you've been at that barbecue, you'll never forget it. Christian's been there. I know. It's the barbecue at Phil's. That's a very, very special barbecue. So we're back. Motor Mouth Radio, Long Island's only automotive talk show and funny, friendly collaboration of ideas and other schmeckle-headed things. I don't know.
That's Ray Guarino right there, the Laverne to my Shirley.
There you go.
There he is.
Big L. So you're going to
You are the big L.
Before Christian calls us back, you're going to tell us about your midlife Chrysler.
Yeah, here's what I did.
All right,
on the car itself, I'm trying to change the interior color slowly, and as efficiently as I can, and to a certain budget. But okay, we also got we do
have a call.
Yes.
So let's go to the phones and say hi, caller. You're on with the Motor Mouths.
Yes, I'm here for the barbecue.
That's it. Did you bring great big drinks?
Well, always. And I have a Swiss Army knife and a can of beans, please.
Perfect. You can have it. Good. Admission granted.
You guys got beaners?
That's right.
Can of beans. That's the show.
Admission granted. Yes, Christian, how you doing?
How are you, my brother?
Listen, gentlemen, good to hear you guys. Yeah, I've been very busy. Sorry.
Yeah, we don't hear from you. We know that you've been busy because
we know you're not sitting around.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I was just up in Vermont this weekend, too, for the Dirt Days up in Haverhill.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was up there riding with the Yamaha and all the K-Tech. We had our booth up there, and it's all the adventure bike stuff. So it's a whole other genre I got to get involved with now.
It's like going back to dirt biking, like when you were 16, 17, but now you're not 17 anymore.
You're not that age anymore.
No, it's definitely another type of crowd. It's for sure. It was cool.
Okay,
it was good.
Good.
That's all.
I like Christian. I like the way you put that. Other type of crowd. Very nice.
Wait a minute, but that's another Sea Monster song. That's all he said.
Oh,
Yeah.
It must be subliminal. I don't know.
It must be. I don't know why. So I had to feel like I had to tune in today and like kind of give it a shout out, you know.
And I'm looking for something today to play. I'm like, you know what? Let's go back to one of the old standbys.
It was like deja vu.
All over again.
All over again.
But yeah, and then yesterday I drove back down from New Hampshire. It was weird because I was right on the river. So when I was up there riding, I kept on riding into Vermont, into New Hampshire, into Vermont, all over on dirt roads, all this crazy stuff.
Yeah.
It's cool. But then I drove back home, and it took a little bit. You get into New Haven, it's terrible. But after 6 or 7 hours of driving back, then I headed out to Riverhead last night.
Wow.
I went out there for the Eddie Partridge. They had that memorial thing going on. They had all the Freeport cars there last night. It was pretty cool.
Very good. Very good.
The whole entire Jazambek collection was there. So the offset coupe, the Vega, it was all out there. It was great. Good night.
Good.
Very cool.
So that's all.
Okay.
It's all. That's the up to date.
It's good to hear you're still around, still with us. It's always glad to know. We love checking. Love checking in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, definitely. Sorry, like I said, I've just been busy and
no worries.
Still doing suspension stuff and now the restoration work and
right.
So my whole new thing now is electrolysis. Pretty cool.
Oh, good.
It's been work. I'm telling you, doing electrolysis and zinking and restoring nuts and bolts and putting motorcycles back together with original hardware. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's right. When I do some zinking, my head hurts.
Well, when I was doing I was working on the trying to take the thermostat housing off, and the bolts were frozen. So Mike was there with me. I said, you know what? I said, you got to be careful not to snap them. It's an aluminum intake. I said, but what I will do is I went and got my hand driver, my and I said, I first bought one of these when I had a Japanese motorcycle because all of the Phillips head screws would never come off, and this was how you got them all off. And then, of course, what you did is you went and bought a kit of Allens to replace it with.
But here's the thing, though. To get back to that, that's not a number 3 Phillips,
I know it's a special driver, yeah.
No, not the driver. The actual head of the
screw head, yeah.
Phillips.
Is it JDM?
Something like that. It's not. I can't remember.
I can't either. I think it's like JDM.
Too much race last night in the modified, so I'm a little groggy.
It's a Wentworth.
It's sort of like it.
No.
And you can actually get one on Amazon. They sell them on Amazon, yeah. But that's why I was using like a number 2 or number 3 Phillips, and they were distorting the Phillips heads. Well, plus they always, those steel screws in the aluminum cases would always tend to dissimilar metal. They would kind of corrode and freeze. So
another fun fact this morning, really quick too, is like I was on Instagram and somebody was talking about ball bearings, and they were like, "Oh yeah," and they said something about, some kid posted the he just did the output bearing on a Harley 5-speed, and he was changing the bearing out, and he was saying how Harley the bearings they're not from China, but it says FAG on it.
Right.
Hint. And he was making a post about it, and then some other guy chimed in, and he started going off about how the Germans developed the spears grinding to make the balls for ball bearings.
Okay.
But here's the fun fact to share with everybody on Mortimer today, Long Island history. Do you know where the ball bearing was invented?
No.
Patented March 13th, 1866. And Bellport, New York.
Bellport,
really?
New York. Well, I do know this. I know that taking out a ball bearing factory in Germany is what helped end World War II.
Yeah.
On the ground, right? Because they couldn't build anything if they didn't have ball bearings, and we took that out. That was smart.
It's funny. Just got to.
The true fact. So if you're in Bellport, right on, I guess on Montauk, there's a plaque. And it's right there in that spot where Oliver Hazard, Harry Robinson patented on March 13th, 1866, the ball bearing.
Cool to know. Hey, good fact. Thanks.
It says on the plaque, it's all ball bearings. That's what it says on the plaque. No, Jim from.
No, so
yeah,
that's for real.
All right, Christian. Well, thank you for that.
Christian, Jim just texted us saying JIS is Japanese Industrial Standard. That's what it's an acronym for.
Okay.
Oh, so JIS. Okay.
JIS.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you, Jim.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you for that. Yes.
All right, Christian.
All right, guys.
We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
All I'm always here. Don't worry.
All right. All right.
Thank you, my brother.
All right, we're gonna turn and burn. We got line 2 going. We got another one. Say, caller, you're on the line.
Hello, Ray. Hello, Chris. It's John.
What's up, John?
Hey, John.
Chris, you had me in hysterics with the rounded nut stuck in a socket. Oh my God! Anybody that hasn't been there hasn't found a rounded nut.
And yeah, you take.
I had a problem years ago with the fuel stack went on my wife's Mitsubishi Montero.
Uh-huh.
And I had to drop the gas tank to get the fuel stack out of it. And of course, the strap bolts were nuts.
Oh, yeah.
Studs were, and yeah, I started smacking sockets onto them, and I'm going, yeah, these things are going to be jammed. And even that didn't work. And I called a buddy of mine who was retired from, automotive repair shop.
Right.
And he said, "No, come over. I got just the thing for you." And he had a nut extractor socket that's designed to go in reverse and bite onto the nut. And holy crap!
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
An impact on, and it goes.
You can buy them now. Gear Wrench sells them. They're called turbo sockets.
Yep.
And they're great for like lug nuts that are rounded. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, strip nut extractor socket. Yeah.
Yes.
Anybody on the phone, if you ever get into the situation, wow, that's probably the best thing.
And what you do, John, Snap-on sells their own brand. I remember being on the tool truck, and when it came out, he says, "This is what you do. The deal, you put put an extension on it." And he says, "And literally get a ball peen or a lump hammer and whack this thing onto the bolt as hammer it on, like hammer it on. It's made, and then you put your impact on it, and dugga, and boop. Because
that's what I was trying to do with the socket, because it wasn't, before I even called my buddy up, and I was trying to use the extension with my socket on the end of it and smack it up in, because it wasn't in a spot where you could really even hit the socket. And I'm like, I'm just going to damage all.
Well, the reason you want to hit it is because the flutes in that socket will cut into the affected nut to give it more purchase. And
and you're better off with a 12-point.
Oh, if you're using just a socket, yeah.
Yeah.
But the nut extractor sockets.
I always like to go light the oxyacetylene torch myself, just for fun.
I try not to next to a gas tank, but
The inductor.
The inductor.
Right.
The inductor lives.
Well, good advice, John. Thanks for that. We appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
That brought back what started out to be a bad memory and turned into wow, I got to buy new tools.
Yeah, right? I know. Don't we all? Nice.
Oh, my
Yes.
God. By the way, that cruise night on Wednesday, we got to make that one night.
I know it's been getting bigger. I hear about it at the cruise nights out here. Guys is talking about it. So the word is out. Yeah.
Yeah. I got a bunch of flyers for ones that they're like all-day ones out.
Oh, wow.
In Cutchalog. I'll scan them and send them to you.
Okay.
But, they're in September.
Yeah. Nice.
Very good.
All right.
Let's try and put that together. There's a couple good restaurants we could hit before or after.
All right.
All right.
Sounds
Guys,
good, John.
Have a great day.
All right, John. Thanks.
Up today.
All right. We'll do it.
Thanks, John. Thanks about talking about your nut extractor.
Yeah.
It only makes me cringe.
I know. So your Chrysler Interior, you said?
Yes.
Right?
So here's what I did. Because I'm trying to change the color of it, it was all variation of gold. So now I have the white 300 Chrysler 300 door panels, and I have those, and I have the only thing is the dash, which is like a darker green kind of gold. So I'm going to leave that. I'm not going to bother changing that. But the carpet is now black. I took the gold one out, but the kick panels under the dash were still gold. And to make it even more worse was that they were ratty. For some reason on the passenger side, it's like someone got in and out with steel-toed shoes, because the whole side of it was just cut up. It was just scratched mostly. It was damaged there. So I know I couldn't sand it, because you would sand the grain, and you don't want to make it smooth because it's got like a plastic. There's like a grain effect on either side. So I took them out and I painted them black. from the gold that they originally were. And the black I used was a plastic. It was not a flat paint. It was like a satin paint. It wasn't totally flat. It wasn't gloss. So it was like a satin. And I shot them. And literally it took an afternoon, not even, to shoot them. And in the process, I was detailing around the door panel, around the inside of the door. There was some little rust spots. So I have some paint. So I was able to, some duplicolor paint. So I was able to dab that. And I was able to clean the sill plates, the rocker plates, because they're that nasty aluminum. And I was able to do those, put them all together. Ray, when I tell you, it almost looks normal.
It's funny, as you do things,
it almost looks good.
You don't always see changes, and you're like, damn, what am I doing? And then you'll make one change one day, and you'll be like, whoa, this is looking pretty good.
What I couldn't believe it. Like something that I thought was just, I would only see it. You know, when you ever do something to your vehicle, I know you do it all the time. You ever do something to your vehicle, you know you're the only one that has seen this. No one else is going to notice it. Anyone notices this thing, you're going to be like, wow, you know, you're on that same astral plane I'm on.
Right, exactly.
These are just, I never realized how just simple kick panels under the dash can turn an interior from something like ratty. Because I was never impressed with it. Even when I put the door panels on, the newer door panels, and or I should say the correct ones, on there, and they were white. They weren't that dark gold. They were white. I was just like, something's wrong. Something's wrong. Those kick panels were such an eyesore, and not a lot of work. Not a lot of work.
Just as a tip, I don't know what paint you used, but Krylon does make a line of paint called Fusion. It's made to paint plastic. I think you can do wood with it. And it adheres. I did some stuff on the Fiat with that. It really adheres well to plastic.
It was a Krylon. The can is actually in the garage now. It was, and I'd have to swim my way to it. It was a Krylon. It was called 2X.
Okay.
And it was used for, it had all applications. It was used for metal. It was used for fabric, I think, and also plastic. So that was what I used. I don't remember where I got the can. I was like, you know, sometimes when you're down in my supply chamber here, sometimes I grab something and go, I didn't know I had this. Hey, let's try it.
You know, we all have cans like that where it's like, how long has this been here?
Right, exactly. I know the history of less than half of the supplies that I have access to. So I'm not like you that can open up a coffee can and look inside at a bunch of assorted parts and know exactly where you were at exactly the right time.
Here's another one.
What in the world is that?
Rust-Oleum that's metallic.
Oh yeah, but look at the can. The can looks like a wine bottle.
Well,
those of you that so I'm sure that costs about $17 a can.
I don't think it's that
just because it looks like a Cabernet.
It is more than a regular paint, but again, does have a pretty heavy metal. Right. My friend Jeff turned me on to that because he paints a lot of his models with it. You know what? That's right. I was going to talk about models today. I got a call from Billy G this morning. Ooh. And he was telling me that what he's doing is starting to build another model kit that he had picked up.
You got about another minute, so think fast, Robert.
I know, right? I'm waiting for him to come in. And he said that he was complaining how the new model kits, the plastic is so much thinner than the older model kits. And even when you glue them, the glue can almost melt the plastic.
Oh, wow.
So he was really complaining about that. But
we'll have to get into in-depth discussion next week.
So you're right. So we should get out of here. What do we say to the people waiting for me out in the parking lot today?
Don't follow us home, and especially if you can't stop.
You want to try that again in the baritone voice?
Don't follow us home in case you can't stop.
Almost okay. All right, we'll try not to stop. So we'll be back with more Motor Mouth Radio next week. Ray Guarino, Chris Switzer on 90.3 WHPC. See ya.
See you, bye.
Better.
This show on 90.3